Night pours over a rusted river like ink finding old letters. A sedan idles beneath a freeway splice, windows fogged by two kinds of heat, weather and worry. Detective Isaiah Cole, quiet, careful, the sort of cop who lets a room empty itself before he says hello, sits with a wire taped to his ribs and a name he's about to stop answering to. The assignment is the kind that comes wrapped in euphemism. Deep cover, intelligence-led, limited duration, minimal contamination. Translation: become someone useful to a crew the city pretends not to know, deliver a map of its arteries, and come back with all the parts you left with. Cole reads the briefing twice, then the exit clause 3 times, because vocabulary is a promise and promises are the only armor that travels. The hook lands without gunfire. An opioid diversion ring, braided to a stolen ID mill and a crypto wash, has turned overdose spikes into a business plan. The ring's face, Cass Vale, runs a network like a chess set he can reset mid-game. Street doctors for plausible deniability, delivery kids with clean records, clean accountants with dirty math. The entry point is a warehouse that looks lawful enough for city inspectors to nod and drive on. Cole's legend is a mid-level procurement man with a record you can verify and a temper you can't. Useful, forgettable, just dangerous enough to keep from being prey. Handler: Ada Lena Marquez, who knows the difference between a case that wins headlines and one that stops a pattern. Rule 1: if Lena calls twice in a row, you answer. Rule 2: if Cass smiles too quickly, you leave. Cole's first contact is a middle manager named Royston, a man with shoes too clean for the loading dock and a moral vocabulary outsourced to whoever signs the checks. The test is simple and ugly. Drive a box to an address and don't open it. He opens it anyway, after, in the safety of his motel sink. Inhalers and blister packs labeled as veterinary supply, the poor man's miracle marked up to a rich man's margin. He logs batch numbers in his head because pens have a way of becoming evidence. The world of this movie has rules that feel like weather. Attention is currency. Distance is mercy. The first favor you do for a criminal is a debt you pay double if you ever say no. Character edges sharpen fast. Cole's self-control looks like moral clarity from a distance and like loneliness up close. He keeps a photograph of his sister, Aaliyah, tucked behind his driver's license. The camera lets us see a date on the back and a clinic logo nobody in their family can forget. He is not a crusader looking for a suit that fits. He is a man who learned the cost of too late and decided early matters more than clean. Lena is the opposite rhythm. Exhale on the beat, never show a tell, because she knows judges and juries read confidence as truth. Their partnership is radio and restraint, built on an agreement to call the thing what it is even when the script says otherwise. The first tension spike arrives not from violence but from competence. In a backroom poker night that sells itself as loyalty screening, Cole refuses to win. It is the correct decision. Men who win big at the wrong table either work for the house or will be punished by it. He loses just enough to be invited back and just enough to see the dealer swap a burn card like a prayer. Cass watches from the bar and files him under useful if controllable. The film's thesis, systems, not monsters, keeps its promise. The scariest man in the room is the one who knows how to make rules decorative. Cole's second test is a soft conversation that should have been a trap. Dr. Hyojin Park, clinic director, runs community hours funded by a foundation with a name like a lullaby. She's also the choke point for diverted meds. She is not a villain. She is the movie's most adult problem, a person who believes her triage justifies the ledger. I keep people breathing, she says, with money the city won't spend. Cole does not argue philosophy. He watches the courier schedule on a whiteboard, memorizes the pattern that turns need into product, and adds a data point. The ring survives because people want to live, and people like Cass monetize that desire better than the state. The middle act escalates pressure by tightening choices. Cole's legend earns him a new lane, security for shipment nights that move more than medicine, blank patient cards, insurance credentials, burner phones. He learns the ring's geometry. Royston handles logistics. Dr. Park makes ethics bearable. A coder named Lila prints identities out of the internet's attic, and Cass keeps everyone smiling by paying on time. There is also Naomi Vale, Cass's sister, who runs a neighborhood legal clinic that teaches tenants to fight evictions. She thinks Cass runs bars and a trucking company and doesn't read headlines about overdose rates because her clients write louder ones with rent due dates. The film refuses to make her an idiot. It makes her busy, righteous, persuasive, dangerous to Cole's mission because she does the good he claims to want. Cole's internal line frays on two fronts. First, the small violences begin to accumulate. A courier shoved into a wall for being late. A nurse's station bullied into signing for a box it didn't order. A clinic's generator donated by a man who later bills in favors. Second, Cass starts offering him latitude. Autonomy is the lever that keeps undercover officers under too long. Cass likes that Cole doesn't chatter. He likes that Cole doesn't drink. He likes that Cole looks like a problem other problems bounce off. He floats a promotion. Expand into a new zip code where the hospitals are merging and billing confusion looks like invitation. Health care is a maze, Cass says. We build maps. The handler dynamic evolves. Lena moves from I need proof to I need you to come back with enough of yourself that proof matters. She forces pauses he doesn't want, dead drops instead of calls, no contact weekends that feel like betrayal until they feel like oxygen. She meets Naomi once, by accident and design, at a tenant's, Wright's Drive where Cole's cover drops 2 centimeters and almost costs him the month. Naomi reads people with courtroom precision. She pegs Cole as a man who likes rules and hates being told which ones apply to him. She is not wrong. The film deepens its system critique with a set piece built out of procedure instead of bullets. A hospital changes over to a new electronic records system. The Ring's coders exploit the chaos to create ghost patients that can be billed and medicated. Cole watches Lila build a person with 9 keystrokes and away with drop-down menus. He records the keystrokes in muscle memory, not on tape, because any device he carries can be found. Neurons cannot. He also notices the line Lila will not cross. No kids, she says, deleting a profile that would have paid better. The movie keeps its people human, even when their math is monstrous. The first clean chance to blow the op arrives and is refused for good reasons and for bad. A swap at the riverfront goes sideways when a rival crew tries to skim boxes. Cass's men de-escalate with brutal efficiency. Cole can signal the task force to move and probably save 2 teenagers trying to rob the wrong truck. He does not, because the case would collapse without Cass's next delivery, and because he is beginning to think strategically the way his targets do. The teenagers live. One breaks an arm. Cole goes home with silence ringing in his ears and sleeps 3 hours like a thief. Naomi's thread tightens. She invites Cole under his legend to a community forum about the overdose wave. He almost doesn't go. He goes because to not go would be weird. He listens to a mother read a list of names and ages and dates, the kind of list that turns a statistic back into humans. He thinks about his sister's photograph. He thinks about Dr. Park's whiteboard. He thinks about Cass's map. He leaves before questions. Naomi texts him later. Thank you for not speaking. It's the most dangerous compliment he'll receive all month. The approach to the no-spoiler boundary is a braid. Cole's proximity to Cass, Lena's shrinking patience, Naomi's growing suspicion, and the Ring's next evolution. Cass decides to go cleaner and dirtier at once, launder meds through a legitimate charity drive while pushing stronger analogs through night clinics that won't ask questions because their funding depends on the same donors who like Cass's checks. He offers Cole operational authority over the charity arm. The promotion would give Cole names, routes, and a ledger. It would also require him to sign, literally sign, paperwork that ties his legend to a shell company that will end up in indictments. If he refuses, he loses access. If he accepts, he becomes a defendant until Lena performs legal surgery later. There is no choice without blood. Lena lays the options out clinically. Take the signature, and we can roll the network in one pass. Don't take it, and we pick at the edges for months while another wave hits. Cole asks the practical question. What happens to me if the politics shift? Lena answers without blinking. Then you trust that I meant what I said. This is the movie's love scene, 2 professionals, clear-eyed about risk, building a bridge out of verbs. Cass, in the meantime, stops being hypothetically dangerous and becomes specifically so. He has a rule about leaks. Address them before they become stories. Royston disappears from the dock offices, his shoes too clean and his choices too late. Dr. Park gets a warning in the form of a compliance audit that will eat her staff for a quarter. Lila closes her laptop and asks for a week off she won't take. Naomi notices the gaps and does the lawyering version of running toward fire. She starts asking Cass questions she never asked before. The family scene that follows is not melodrama. It is two adults with the same last name trying to build a common moral vocabulary and failing gracefully. Cass believes outcomes absolve methods. Naomi believes methods become outcomes. Cole hears their argument from a hallway he was never supposed to visit. The mission stops being theoretical. The penultimate set piece is logistics tightened until it sings. A charity pop-up in a shuttered grocery store moves boxes stamped with hearts and slogans through smiling volunteers. Cole, now a nominal coordinator, routes shipments to clinics with real needs and to night locations with real risks. Lena's team ghosts the parking lot. Naomi arrives with a clipboard and a frown because she has read the permits. Cass steps onto a makeshift stage to thank donors and says a sentence he said 100 times with perfect sincerity. "We take care of our own." The movie holds that line just long enough for the audience to taste the double meaning. Everything that matters is now a decision. Cole can trigger the takedown during the pop-up and gamble that the ring's hardest proof is in the back room. He can hold for the night run and gamble that the cops won't be tipped. He can pull Naomi out, destroying his legend, or trust her to navigate a room where her brother's charm covers a shape she has chosen not to see. He can sign the paper and become the person the law will call a conspirator until it decides to call him a witness. He can refuse and watch Cass reset the board with a smile. We stop before the choice lands, as the assignment requires. The final frames we are willing to name are the ones that make the climax inevitable without selling it. A pen hovers above a line on a form whose corporate address is a P.O. box inside a law firm. A pallet jack turns toward a van whose false floor is one pry bar away from a career. Lena's phone buzzes twice, Rule 1, and Cole's hand moves to answer. Naomi steps into a pocket of silence behind the stage and asks her brother very softly, "When did helping start to look like this?" Cass's eyes move the way men's eyes move when they know someone they love finally sees them. The warehouse lights hum. Somewhere, a generator coughs and then catches. The camera does not blink. After this, the feature answers the questions good undercover stories earn. What a conscience costs when your name is borrowed. What family means when truth becomes evidence. What justice looks like when you arrest a system built out of legitimate forms. Deep Cover keeps its promise to treat competence as suspense and people as the reason suspense matters. If you want the literal outcomes, who signs, who runs, who testifies, that lives in the film. What this recap can guarantee is the tension of watching a man decide how much of himself he can spend to buy a future where maps don't have to be written by thieves.